We see, look, it works. It sends us flying in the air. Hello guys, this is SpiderRock and welcome back to another add-on tutorial video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make add-ons. So I'm going to be basically showing you guys the basics of making add-ons and what you need to know to get started. And like sort of the fundamentals, the important things for I guess the basics, just to get you started. So I've already done one video on making add-ons and I showed you guys how to make a sword. But today I'm gonna go take a step back a little bit, I guess, and just show you the general important things you need to know. I'm going to be using a software called Bridge to make these add-ons. If you're at all interested in Bridge and in making these add-ons, there's a link in the description where you can download it, as well as a link in the description to my tutorial on how to make a sword, which is going to a little bit go more into some of the specifics of some of the things. So let's go ahead and get started. So two things I recommend having open. One of them is your com.mojang folder. I'm on Windows 10 and that's what I'm making this tutorial for. So you can find this folder. I don't know exactly where it is for everybody, but I recommend having it open because you can access your development resource and behavior packs here. I'll probably try and find a way to figure out where this is, and I'll put a link in the description to where you can find that as well. You're also going to want to have Bridge open. This is the software here. This is Bridge. It's a pretty solid software, if I do say so myself. But anyway, you know, right now I have an add-on that I'm working on open, but I'm gonna go ahead and start I guess making an add-on. So the first thing that you want to do, the most important thing, is making a new project. You hit this little folder up here that says new project, and then you can do your name, your namespace, and your description. So I'm gonna call the name of my project, so I'm just gonna call this test add-on. And I'm going to put my namespace as SP. So just make this something simple that you can remember, but hopefully it's not too hard to type. So I use SP because, you know, SpiderRock SP. It's just easy for me to remember. For your project description, you can put whatever you want. I'm just going to put okay. Hi, you know, that's my description for now. And then I recommend setting this to whatever the most current version of the game is. Although in this case right now, I think the most stable version for making add-ons is 1.16.100. You know, you can feel free to change that around depending on when you're watching this. But as of right now, it's on 1.16.201. I recommend 1.16.100. Anyway, go ahead and hit create. And before you start making stuff in your add-on, you're going to want to make a resource pack. So if you click this little picture right here, it says resource pack. It doesn't look like your current behavior pack has a corresponding resource pack. So if you already have a resource pack that you want to use to go with your add-on, which I don't know what you're doing, maybe you do, maybe you don't, I don't know. Then you can hit the link button. For the sake of the video though, I'm going to be making a new resource pack. So I'm going to hit this little button right here that says create. And so it's going to ask me for a name and description. So I'm just going to say test, and then I'm going to say resources. I hope that's how you spell resources. Okay, anyway, we've got our resource pack and our behavior pack, and let's go ahead and start off by making an item. So there are ways to get around some of these things quicker, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to start from scratch, just so you know how to do that, and if you want to make an item of whatever type you can. Anyway, go ahead and click this button right here that says new file. So this button right here is how you're going to make most things. You can make, as you can see here, animation controllers, biomes, blocks, commands, components, entities, and then all this stuff is here. So scroll down to this little sword where it says item, and so I'm just going to call it okay. So okay.json, and then I'm not gonna make actually, you know, I'll do a blank item template. That's probably the best for making an item. Then we go ahead and hit create. This little format version here, as long as you're on the most updated version of Bridge, you should be good. So just click the little light bulb. So right now, the most stable format version for items is 1.16.100, at least from my experience, I don't know. And you can go ahead and start messing around with some of these things here. So the most important thing here is adding your description. So your identifier is essentially what the item is called. So I think because Bridge is pretty nice, it will go ahead and automatically generate you right here SP-OK, since OK is the name of your file. So I'm just gonna call it SP-OK. Make sure you have that little whatever you set your namespace to. So it defaults to Bridge, but you can change it to whatever you want. Like I said, I set to SP, and then colon, and then the name of your item. Don't use spaces here. If you're going to, you should use an underscore. So if I want to do OK_L or OK_cool, But for the sake of this, I'm just going to keep it as SP. Okay. Also, you can hit Control S whenever to save your file. Works pretty easily. Although the more stuff you have in the file, the longer it'll take. Next, this is how you define sort of what your item is. So that's their category thing right here. So you can, it's mainly just useful for like creative inventory stuff. But since this is an item, it's just going to be an item. So I'm going to put it in items. All right, the next really important thing that you have to pay attention to with items is components. This goes for pretty much everything, I guess, not just items, but I'm pretty sure everything has components. So these are essentially what's going to define what exactly your item or block or whatever does. So I could use, let's say, max stack size, and I could set it to 5. So now I have this component on here. It's only going to stack up to 5, right? But there are a few really important components that I think are probably some of the most important to know. So damage is if you're making like a sword or something, you can set this to whatever you want. I can set it to 3 and it does 3 damage. I could set it to 300 and it'll do 300 damage. So for the sake of the video, maybe I'll set it. I don't know why I keep saying for the sake of the video. Anyway. All right, so one of the really important ones here is Minecraft : display name. Now you can just look through these and search, but for the display name, you're just gonna hit that. It'll autofill here to value. So click value and then add value and you can set it to whatever you want to. You can put spaces here and this is what you'll see the item as in your inventory. So I'm just gonna call this okay, cool item. There we go. Okay, cool item, and that's the display name. That's what you're gonna see the item be. However, if you use a command to get the item, the item will be SP-OK. I guess because like in Minecraft, it'll be, you know, Minecraft : whatever. I don't recommend using Minecraft as your namespace. It can kind of mess things up sometimes. So yeah, there's a bunch of components to work with here. There's a bunch of really interesting things you can do. You can make things explodable or not explodable, for example. So I'm gonna make this not explodable. I don't want this to blow up, you know, that's a pretty fun thing you to do. And I'm pretty sure there's more than are just here, but I'm only looking at the ones in Bridge for now. Because like I said, this is kind of trying to be simple. Minecraft weapon is gonna make it so it's held, or it's like, you know, the little thing, like when you hover over something, it shows how much damage it does. That's what Minecraft weapon does if you just leave it there. But you can also run events, which is what I'm about to talk about on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on this little Minecraft item thing, and you can see there's one more tab we can add, which is events. So these events are essentially how you can do really cool things with items. That's how you can, well, not just items, but with anything really. You can do cool stuff. So you can run commands, you can have things happen. So we're gonna make a new event called test. There we go, I can not type. And then if we scroll through here, we can see some of the things we can do. So we can have it shoot, which fires a projectile. We can have it randomize something, swing. There's all kinds of things we can do here, although I'm not really gonna get much into this. Like I said, another thing for another tutorial, trying to keep it simple. Swing, though, we'll make it, we'll make something swing. It's pretty simple, it's just swing. We can add another something to the event. So let's see. We should do a run command. Here we go. So if you want to execute a command when you do something with something, that's how you're going to do it. You're going to make an event, you're going to give it a name, and you're going to add run command. I added swing though, since this is an item and I'm going to attach it to something in the item, so it'll at least look like we're doing something when we're running the command. So I don't recommend using these like autofill command things here. But just do command and then 0 probably for good measure. I don't recommend going through here with the autofill commands because they're not always the best. But I mean, you can, like, if you want a very simple command, like let's go ahead and do effect at E. We're gonna do in a radius of 4 levitation 1 second. And then levitation 100. So we've got that command there. It won't show up like the different colors like all this other stuff does because it's sort of its own thing. So now we have this event test. Now what do we do with this event? Well, there's all kinds of things you can do with events. So if we look at the weapon thing here, we can have on hurt entity, on not hurt entity, or on hit block, which have to do with exactly what it sounds like. If you punch something, if you punch like the air, I'm pretty sure, and then if you punch a block, they will run. However, we're gonna go ahead and go back to components here, and we're gonna add one more thingy. We're going to add, if I can find it, just look up on. We can find on use and on use on. So on use is when you're gonna use your use button. So for me, it's right click, maybe left trigger, or if you just hold down on the screen on mobile, and then we can choose on use again, and then event, and then test. So that's pretty much the basics of it. If you want to, you can do like targets and conditions, although I'm not really going to get into that. But if you want it to happen, like if you want the event to be executed somewhere else without having to add an execute command, I guess you could do that. Anyway, now we've got it so that when we use the item, this event will happen and this event will swing and then run the command that we have right here. Now there's one more really important component, I think, and that is icon. So this is sort of going to get you started in the direction of adding a texture to your item. So go ahead and add Minecraft icon and then texture, and then we're just gonna call this texture SP:texture. How about that? That seems like a pretty good name for a texture. Anyway, now you're actually gonna wanna go over to your resource pack. You can look in textures, and then you can go ahead and find item_texture under textures. This is going to be your file for item textures. So you're gonna wanna add an object called SP:texture, or whatever you're calling your texture. Then you're gonna wanna select textures, 0, and then this is why you need to have com.mojang open. You're gonna wanna go into your development resource packs and find the one with the name of whatever you're making. So right here we have test, we click on that, textures, and then now you can see we don't have anything here. So you're gonna wanna make a new folder, in this case called items, and this will have our item textures stored in here. And then this is where you're gonna want to put in your textures. So for this, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy and paste over a cookie from a default, texture pack I have here. But you can really use whatever image you want for this texture. I'm just going to be using a cookie, but make sure that you set the name of this to, well, I guess you can set it to whatever you want. So I'm gonna call it texture, I guess, because that's what we're calling things. So now if you hit texture 0, you should see something pop up. I think go undo the 0, textures 0, and then you should see here textures, items, texture. That's the thing that we just added into that pack, and it sort of shows up there automatically. So you can get rid of the 0, and I think it just won't show up here, but you also can't type it in yourself. It's kind of a whole thing. So that's kind of how I'd recommend approaching that. So now we've got SP texture here, and then that is defining what this is referencing right here, this texture, SP texture. So there are a couple other things that I'd like to look at before we go. So if you go ahead and hit file and then hit new file, then over here we can see something important to think about is adding recipes. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of recipes. I'm going to call this okay, because that's what we're going to be crafting. And then I'm gonna make a blank shaped recipe. So recipes are pretty simple. It's got the same identifier kind of thing as an item, except you add different tags. So you can hit 0, and then you can add, let's say we want this to be craftable in a, so we're gonna go ahead and make this craftable in a crafting table. And then if you click back up here on this, you can add a pattern. So I'm just gonna do it, so I'm just gonna make a little pattern here with O's, and then some A's, and then some E's. There we go. That's going to be our pattern. Then we're going to add a key. So this is how you sort of define what is in that pattern. So think of this pattern like a 3x3 crafting grid, essentially. You can add spaces to represent that you don't want anything there. So we're going to go ahead and define some of these things, and you can add data too, but we're not going to do that. So O is going to be soul torches, I guess. I'm not really trying to make this good, but I'm just testing this out. For example, then we can set A to warped doors, and we can set E to, I don't know, let's see, what else is here? A bell. There we go. So that's how we're gonna craft this. So crafting recipes are pretty simple. You just have to add your pattern, your key, and then finally your result. And then you're gonna wanna do 0. I'm also gonna do an item, and it's gonna be my SP okay. There we go. Just that simple. Not very complicated. You can look at my recipe here and sort of base yours off of that. All right, so before we export this, I want to go ahead and test it out. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Minecraft if it'll load. Here we go. Then hit play. I'm gonna make a new, or actually no, I'm gonna copy my showcase area like I do for, say, a showcase video or testing out an add-on I've made. You know, standard procedures here, then I don't have to worry about enabling things. Although I do recommend, if you're making an add-on, to enable all experimental features on your world. I don't know why this world takes so long to copy, maybe because it's really big. All right, now if we go into our resource and behavior packs, we should see, if we scroll down a little bit, test resources, and then down here at behavior packs, we should see test add-on okay hi under the behavior packs. And then I'm just going to go ahead and play, and let's see if this works. So if you go ahead and do a /give command, because I didn't set this up to be in the creative inventory yet, you know, that's another thing for another video, but just sp::okay, here we go. Now look at this, I have myself an okay cool item. I have myself a interesting looking cookie that I can walk up to a mob on and just go ahead and interact with it, and me and the mob both get flown into the air because I'm using that function, or not even a function, I guess, that event that I made. We see, look, it works. It sends us flying in the air. All right, so I also just wanted to mention something that you can do if you want to do something a little bit more easily is use this little presets tab right here. So using presets, you can make a handful of mobs, as well as like snowballs, swords, NPCs, things like that. Nothing here is really going to be that detailed, but it'll get you a simple start on something. I usually prefer doing things by hand personally, but I will say it's very easy for something like armor. It's very convenient. So I make okay. So it will be okay armor, and then I hit create, and we do see in our items here, we have okay boots, helmet, leggings, and chest plate. And then you can go in, it will generate you some files, some textures. I didn't mean to open that, but it will generate you textures there. It'll generate you models and textures for those models. So it's a very convenient way of making armor, especially for someone like me who's too lazy to actually go in and do all that stuff. And that will show up in the game automatically. But let's say you want to go ahead and export. Here we go. There's a little button right here that says package. Now you're going to have to do this individually for the behavior and resource packs as of right now, from what I've seen, but go ahead and click that package button. And then go ahead and go to resource packs and click that package button. You can see now down here, there's two little things that say package ready. So go ahead and click on each of those just like that. They should both kind of go away. And then now you can see that I have test and test addon.mc pack, down here in my com.mojang folder, which is where it defaults to, I'm pretty sure. And so yeah, once you do that, you can pretty much just upload these anywhere, share them with your friends. Very easy. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you made it here, I hope this helped you out in some way. If it didn't, or if you have any questions after this, go ahead and join my Discord server. There's a link in the description. I'm planning on making a ton more videos on tutorials for add-ons, but I just wanted to go ahead and make a general, like, how to start making add-ons video, because I wasn't very clear about it when I was doing my video about how to make a sword texture, like what exactly an event was, or what exactly, you know, you needed to define a texture of any sort. But it is cool to have my okay cool item launch me into the air with a little bit of whatever this is called, with a little bit of levitation. So anyway, thanks for watching if you made it here. See you guys later, and bye.